Chapter 5. The Design Process of App Development. Central idea: Event-driven programming and App Inventor. App architecture of App Inventor. How to become a programmer or app creator. Debugging, project, testing the app on emulator. Event-driven programming and App Inventor. Event-driven computer programming is a program in which the flow of the program is controlled by occasions such as client activities, sensor yields, or messages from different projects or strings. App Inventor is often called as an events-based programming platform. This means that functions are based on the reactions to the events. When you click a button, start an app. Shake the phone, swipe the phone, and enter any value into a text box. These all are the events. Apps are event-driven, which means events need to happen because of something else happened. For example, shaking the phone will cause the phone to play a sound and get a text message. App Inventor programs use event handler blocks to indicate how the program should react to specific event after, before, or when the event happens. App architecture of App Inventor. An app architecture depicts the procedures and techniques used to design and build an application. The architecture guides you a roadmap follow while building an application so that you end up with a well-structured app. An app architecture designs the behavior of applications used in a business focused on how to interact with each other and with the users. App architecture includes events, but also includes components, event handlers, event types, behavior, and object-oriented programming. There are two main types of components in an app: visible and non-visible. Visible components are the ones that you see when an app is launched, things like buttons, text boxes, and labels. These are often referred to as the app's user interface. Non-visible components are those which you can't see, so they are not part of the user interface. Instead, they provide access to the built-in functionality of the device. For example, the texting component sends and processes SMS texts. Location sensor component determines the device's location, and the text-to-speech component makes device talk. Both visible and non-visible components are defined by a set of properties. How to become a programmer or app creator? An app creator must view his or her app both from an end-user perspective and from the inside-out perspective of a programmer. With App Inventor, you can handle the look of the app, and then you can design its behavior, that is set of event handlers that makes an app behave as you want. You build these event handlers by assembling and configuring blocks representing events, functions, conditional branches, repeat loops, web calls, database operations, and more. And then you can test your work by actually running the app on your phone. After you write a few programs, the mapping between the internal structure of an app and its physical appearance becomes clear. When that happens, you're a programmer. A programmer is a person who writes a program or codes on a computer to make it run for a specific task. What is debugging? In computer programming, debugging is a process of finding and resolving bugs or the errors within a computer program, software, or systems. A person who finds these errors or bugs in the program is known as a debugger. Project. Let's create a magic trick app. Step 1. Step 1. Open any web browser and type http appinventor.mit.edu. edu. Step 2. Click on Create Apps. Step 3. Select Start New Project from the Projects menu. Step 4. Type the project name and click OK. Now, as we required the pictures of hat and rabbit for our app and a sound click of "tada" for the sound effect, download and store the images of hat and rabbit in a folder. Also, download the "tada" MP3 sound effect from Google. Image of hat, sound effect. Uploading media to the project. Now, we have to put all of this media also into our app. Step 5. On the designer screen, on the Media tab, click Upload File. Step 6. Click Choose File. Tip: when you upload the JPG files, you should take small pictures, as bigger pictures will be placed on the whole screen. Step 7. Select the file and click Open. Step 8. Click OK. Step 9. Repeat steps 5 to 8 2 times for the other image and the sound. Step 10. Check if all the files are uploaded. If not, then repeat the process of uploading the files. Step 11. Drag button on the screen 1. Step 12. Click on the image properties. Step 13. Select the hat.jpg from the list and click OK. Your button should now change to a black top hat. It will also contain the original text that said "Text for button 1." To delete this text, do the following. Step 14. Under the Properties pane for button 1, go to Text and delete the text for button 1. Press Enter after changing the text. Now, make another button. Remember to click and drag the button onto the viewer. Unlike last time, we are not going to fill this button with an image. Instead, we will go to the Properties pane of button 2 and notice how the text on your app changes right away. We will make this button into Restart button. Step 15. Change its text to Restart. Press Enter after changing the text. Changing the names. It can often get confusing while coding when you have different name of the component. To make it easier for ourselves, let's rename our buttons to Hat button from button 1 and Restart button from button 2. To rename components, follow these steps. Step 16. Click the component. Make sure it is outlined in green in the list of components. Step 17. Click the Rename button. Step 18. Type in the new name and click OK. The Blocks Editor. The Blocks Editor is where you program the behavior of your app. There are built-in blocks that handle things like math, logic, and text. Below that are the blocks that go with each of the components in your app. In order to get the blocks for a certain component to show up in the Blocks Editor, you first have to add that component to your app through the designer. Built-in blocks are always available. They handle things like math, text, logic, and control. Workspace, where you assemble the blocks into a program. Component blocks correspond to the components you've chosen for your app. Trash for deleting unneeded blocks. Make a button click event. To make the image of the rabbit appear when we click on the hat, go to screen 1 and choose Hat button. These are called Event Handler blocks. They are a light brown color and start with when. And in using these, we can decide what happens when a certain event takes place. The event we want is hat button. Click. Step 19. Click on the hat button drawer. Step 20. Click and hold the When Hat button. Click Do block. Drag it over the workspace and drop it there. Program the magic trick. When we click the hat, we want the image to change from hat.jpg to rabbit.jpg. So we want to change the image property of hat button. Step 21. Select hat button and scroll down and drag in set hat button dot image to. Now change the picture. Step 22. Go to text under built-in blocks. Now click on the small pink block, the top one shown, and drag it to connect to set hat button dot image to. Step 23. Click on the block and type in rabbit.jpg. Whatever blocks you decide to place inside the event handler, what will happen when hat button is clicked? So now when we click it, the original image will change to rabbit.jpg. Check the coding by connecting with emulator for yourself. Program the restart button. You may have noticed that when you click the hat, it turns into the rabbit and there's no way to get the empty hat back. That's where the restart button comes in. We're going to program the restart button the same way that we programmed hat button, except that when the restart button is clicked, the image changes to hat.jpg. Step 24. Click on Restart button and drag out When Restart button. Click Do Event Handler. As we'll be using the same blocks as hat button, we can make a duplicate block. Step 25. Right-click on the Set Hat Button.image block and select Duplicate, changing the image back to hat. Now we will program the Reset button so that the empty hat appears on the screen. Step 26. Move the Set Hat Button block into the Restart button event handler. Now click on the text in the pink block to change it to hat.jpg. Adding sound. While designing an app, we can add different sounds in our app as per our requirement. These sound clips are needed to upload in the media section. Now we are going to add sound to our app. To do this, we need to go back to the designer window to add a sound component. Step 27. Click the designer button to go back to the designer. Step 28. Click on Sound in the list of media components and drag it on the viewers. Step 29. Go to the Properties pane. The source property is currently none. Click this and select Tada Sound.mp3. Then click OK. Programming the sound. Go back to the blocks editor. We want our app to make sound when we perform the trick. So what we want is to play sound when hat button.click is clicked. Step 30. Click on Sound 1 under Screen 1. Step 31. Click and drag the block Call Sound1.play and place it into the hat button.click block. Step 32. Click the AI starter from the desktop of the computer. Step 33. Select emulator from Connect menu. So the magic hat has started. Click on the hat. It would change hat with a sound in the background into a rabbit. Restart button would again Bring back the hat on the screen and you can start the magic again. Congratulations on making your second app based on multiple items used with a sound.